As we move into the segment of the idea of communicating with the external reality, it's important to remember that there is no external reality, that the external reality we perceive is merely just a reflection of ourselves. And I think it's so easy as empaths to feel that the external reality is so separate from us, is not us, because we've learned to tune out of ourselves and tune into the hologram. That's why I've started this class, and every class I've taught, I've started with the concept of tuning into ourselves. We are mirrors. Empaths are mirrors. And the external dimension is a mirror itself. And so we are mirrors studying mirrors, which is a whole different, unique, amazing perspective to allow ourselves to have. The more familiar we can get with ourselves, the more comfortable we can be with ourselves, the more we can learn to love our energy and know how we work and know how to tune in and know when to pull back and know how to harmonize and know how to soothe ourselves. The more fun the dimension becomes, the more fun the external reality becomes, because we learn how to drive it. We learn how to maneuver through these vibrations. And essentially we, as in our bodies, are like an interdimensional spaceship. We are carrying a frequency in which our emotions and thoughts are coordinates, and it's directing our movement through the hologram. Even the concept of movement is just a perception, because the hologram is us. But we're learning how to tune in to what feels good and then watch that be mirrored back to us. What's happened for so long is we've completely tuned out of our own vibrations and looked to the external world, to the hologram, to the mirror, and we've tried to change the mirror. We've tried to change the reflection. We think if we can make the mirror or the reflection feel better, if we can change the world, then we'll feel better, then we'll have peace. But it's just the opposite. In the process of doing that, we have suppressed many of our fears and wounds, many of our joys and excitements, many of our strengths. We've actually, especially our strengths, we've allowed to be suppressed into the world. We've projected them as powers out there. And so part of the shifting the perspective, part of this third segment in the class, which is communing with the external reality, is really just, once again, integrating those parts of us that we have seen as separate from us for so long. Primarily what I want to say and primarily what I want to focus on for empaths is your strength, your power. All you have to do is look at the world around you to see that we are incredibly powerful beings, that we have created, co-created this amazing physical reality, this amazing physical dimension in which we chose to enter into a program that we would forget who we are, so that we could play around in contrast, so that we could understand more of what we are. Because by turning off our natural selves, especially our natural empathic selves, we as a human species and a collective consciousness could understand where we are at vibrationally at this time by what we're experiencing as contrast. Therefore, when we're turned off, we don't know who we are, we don't know what we are, we try to fix the external world, we're giving rise to desire, we're saying this hurts, and at the same time we're asking for what we truly are to be seen and shown. We're asking, and that vibration is being matched constantly, instantaneously by the universe. So once you turn on and you remember who you are, it's all there. All that ever made you feel powerless in the past, that power is there and it exists within you. And so when you get to the point where you've really understood how to tune into yourself, know that you are the tuning fork. You are the vibrational frequency that drives through this universe. You are an interdimensional spaceship, so to speak, that is moving or shifting perspectives, almost like changing channels constantly, shifting to parallel reality to learn about what you are. When you realize you have the power to shift in that way, you understand that literally the world around you is exactly what we say it is. It is a hologram, and that hologram can be fun when you realize that your vibration is the one that controls your experience of it rather than the other way around. So communing with the external dimension is all about owning your personal power. This is a segment when we talk about owning your words, owning your body language, owning what you choose to walk into, owning what you choose to do, owning where you choose to put your attention, doing it all with conscious intention, and also with unconditional love, because you didn't come here to be exempt from the human experience. I think that's one of the biggest glitches for an empath, is when you're tuned in, when you're really tuned in and you feel the immensity of who you are and what you're capable of. It glitches you out a little bit because you're still in the physical body. That's why so many empaths become channels or are channels, because it's a way in which we can just simply allow that energy to come through and not having to identify with it or make it who we are. So channels will typically say, I'm channeling so-and-so, I'm channeling, Abraham or Bashar, or really they're channeling in aspects of themselves. But it makes it easier to put the ego or the concept of what we've been our whole lives aside, because we have all these programs. So your day-to-day life as an empath, I want to suggest to you that you are channeling at any given moment. This physical body is just a receiver. And as an empath, as someone who is born into this world to be a mirror, because it's just simply an intention that you set. It's not greater or worse or better than any other intention. Every perspective is equally valuable. This just happens to be one that you stepped into. It just happens to be one that you've allowed yourself to embrace fully, is the idea of being a mirror to others, an idea of really having understanding reflection. Really, you could say you're specializing in holographic technology. That is what an empath does. And those of us in the new wave of empaths, and this idea of empathic communication, where laying the groundwork for telepathic communication in the physical bodies, we are doing something a little different than what a channel does. We're not saying I'm channeling so-and-so. We are literally living channels in the physical body, learning how to reflect that in any given moment every day. Obviously, everyone's doing this at some capacity, but it's a different expression. It's a different expression when we choose to allow ourselves to tune into us. As I started this class out, the whole beginning of this class and any other class I've taught has been about tuning into you. But as an empath, you are just merely a reflection of the collective consciousness. And that's where it can get confusing, but it no longer is confusing when you let the receiver just receive and then move through the hologram in what feels good, what you prefer. We are literally smoothing glitches in the hologram. We are smoothing transitions from shifting to parallel reality to parallel reality. We are smoothing those shifts out by our awareness of where we glitch. And where we glitch is in the human body, in our consciousness as Amanda. Suddenly Amanda comes in. Suddenly Amanda's perspective is involved in the transmission of an entire collective consciousness that's shifting through, as like I said, we're like channels, shifting through my body. So that communication, that language that we're learning to speak, we're in the beginning stages of it. And that is, I think, why this class has felt, we're all sort of, including me, absorbing this information and feeling the significance of it, but learning how to let it set and shift into our physical bodies, because it's such a different perspective of what an empath is, and yet it's coming through so strongly. I can barely contain it sometimes, day to day, what's coming through. And me as Amanda, as just the human body, the receiver, is working through my own glitches and understanding this language and understanding this vibration and understanding what we're doing. I feel the significance of it. I feel the power of the vibration, and I feel that I've connected to my best mirrors in you, in those others of us who can do this. I feel the most seen when I am with another mirror, another direct mirror, another empath. Especially the stronger the empath is, the more powerful I feel and the more powerful I feel seen, because we can reflect so clearly back and forth to each other. And yet, every once in a while, our perspective of our individual selves comes in and you feel that glitch. And you feel that glitch. And that's where we have to work and smooth that vibration within ourselves, which is why there are no answers that are universal. Every answer is filtered through the perspective of the receiver. And we are all receivers. We are all communicators. We are all channels. We are all empaths. But you, those of you in this class especially, because this class, to even be interested in this class, it's another level. I don't like the word levels, but it's another whole perspective of the world of what it means to be an empath. And I feel we're just starting to dive deep. We're just starting to get there. So my challenge to you is to really go back through the previous information. Even those of you who have listened to it and are not caught up yet, or that are ready to go on, listen again, because there's something very significant coming through. Listen with yourself open. Listen as an empath. Listen as someone who can feel and completely, clearly reflect the energy that's coming through. Listen from that space. Listen from that space. And you will translate exactly what's needed to be translated for you. And we will begin a conversation that builds the gap between human consciousness at a physical level speaking and empathic communication at a whole other, at an entirely different shift of human consciousness. Listen from that level. And that's what I want to challenge you to do in this first audio, is just listen again. Listen as an empath. Listen with your mirror fully on. And then reflect back to me what you hear, because that is the other part of the conversation. And I think that's why there's the lull in the class right now, because you guys, we're still communicating. I need to be reflected back. What I'm saying needs to be reflected back to me through you guys, through the group. So reflect back to me what you hear. And this conversation, especially in this third segment, will become much clearer, because this next segment is all about communicating with the hologram. That means this next segment is all about us communicating with each other, because at this moment, I am the hologram communicating to you. And when you talk back to me, you are the hologram communicating to me, and we are bridging the gap. We're bridging the gap for these next levels, or these next shift in communication on this planet. And you are the leading edge of this. You, as this empath in the body you're in right now, you are the leading edge of this new conversation. It's a vibrational conversation, and it is one in which we fully consciously create our own realities. We create a whole new conversation. We are literally lining up with a different grid. Those of you who've chosen this, we are lining up with a reality that's different from what most of the planet is choosing. So participate in the conversation, please, because I need to hear from you. I need to hear that other side of the conversation. And these are the two audios I'm going to post for today, the clarification audio and this one. And I want to hear back from you before I go into the next audio. All right. I love you guys. Ciao.